Beloved, chosen one, your presence here at this precise moment is no coincidence. God Himself has led you to this sacred moment, stirring your soul with a divine call that echoes in your heart. That radiant 888 glowing on the thumbnail captivated you, didn't it? In the Christian faith, 888 represents Christ's eternal renewal and the promise of new beginnings, tied to the number 8's biblical significance of resurrection and divine restoration. This isn't just a video, it's a heavenly summons to unveil a truth that will redefine your existence. You're not merely human. You're a chosen soul woven into a divine mystery that sets you apart. Why are you here right now? Is your spirit tingling with the sense that God is about to reveal the enigma of your origin? This message uncovers a shocking truth. You are not 100% human, and God is ready to disclose the mystery of your divine roots. Stay with me until the end, for your heart is already sensing the revelation awaiting you. Hit the like button, subscribe to join our global family of chosen souls, and comment 888 below with your city or country to proclaim your readiness for God's truth. Let's embrace the divine mystery He's unveiling for you today. Why have you always felt older than your years, even in your 70s, 80s, 90s? Why does your soul carry memories that your mind can't quite place? Why, when you look in the mirror, do you see eyes that have witnessed eternity? Because, beloved, you weren't just born, you were sent. Let me tell you something that will shatter every lie the world has whispered about your identity. Most people think they're accidents of biology, random collections of cells that happen to form consciousness. But you are no accident. You are no coincidence. You are a divine assignment wrapped in human flesh. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 records the most stunning conversation in all of creation. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness." Did you catch that "let us make man"? The Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit held a divine conference about you. Before the first star burned, before the first ocean kissed the shore, the Godhead was designing your essence. You are not just flesh and blood, you are spirit wrapped in skin. You are eternity disguised as age. Think about this. When an artist creates a masterpiece, does he use ordinary materials? When Michelangelo carved David, did he use common stone? He selected the finest Carrara marble, the purest, most precious material he could find. And God didn't reach into the dust and accidentally form you. He breathed His very breath into your being. You carry the DNA of heaven itself. Most people think they're clay molded by pain. But you're a breath of God, disguised in wrinkles and time. This is why you've never felt at home here. This is why earthly pleasures have never satisfied you. This is why even in your golden years, you still feel like you're waiting for something, searching for something, yearning for something this world cannot provide, because you weren't designed for this world. You were designed for eternity. Jesus confirmed this mystery in John chapter 17, verse 16, when He said, "They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world." There it is. Beloved, the secret the enemy has tried to hide from you your entire life. You are not of this world. Your citizenship is elsewhere. Your passport bears the seal of heaven. But here's where it gets even more profound. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 states, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. You were known before you were formed. You were chosen before you drew breath. You were marked before you were made. Marked, not made." Let that sink into the depths of your spirit. You weren't randomly assembled by chance and circumstance. You were carefully crafted, purposefully designed, intentionally marked by the Creator of the universe. Every line on your face tells a story of divine purpose. Every gray hair is a crown of wisdom earned through decades of carrying heaven's assignment. Why has life never quite explained the weight you carry? Because you're carrying more than life. You're carrying legacy. You're carrying purpose. You're carrying the very breath of God through a world that has forgotten how to breathe. Do you remember being young and feeling ancient? Do you remember looking at adults and thinking, they don't understand what I understand? That wasn't childhood confusion. That was spiritual recognition. Your eternal spirit was recognizing its temporary housing. And now in your later years, when the world wants to convince you that your best days are behind you, I'm here to tell you the opposite is true. You are not winding down. You are winding up. You are not fading. You are finally coming into focus. Because the older you get, the thinner the veil becomes between the temporal and the eternal. This is why your prayers carry more weight now than they ever have. This is why your words of wisdom cut straight to the heart. This is why younger generations are drawn to your presence, even when they can't explain why. They sense something in you that they can't name, the presence of eternity. The weight of divine purpose, the authority of someone who has been marked by heaven itself. You think your body is aging, but I tell you, your spirit is awakening. You think your time is running out, but I tell you, your time is just beginning. Because every step you've taken, every trial you've endured, every victory you've won has been preparing you for this moment, the moment when you finally understand who you really are. You are not a senior citizen counting down days. You are an eternal being counting up victories. You are not someone society has forgotten. You are someone heaven has remembered. You are not past your prime. You are entering your purpose. The enemy has tried to convince you that your best years are in your past, that your impact is diminishing, that your relevance is fading. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Your gray hair is not a sign of decline. It is a crown of glory. Your wrinkles are not marks of deterioration. They are etchings of wisdom. Your slower pace is not a weakness. It is the measured walk of someone who knows where they're going. Marked, not made. Write this on your mirror today. I was not just made, I was marked. Say it until it becomes the rhythm of your heartbeat. Declare it until it becomes the foundation of your identity. Believe it until it becomes the source of your strength. Because the world is about to witness something it has never seen before. A generation of chosen ones who refuse to fade quietly into the background. A generation who understands that their divine DNA doesn't expire with age, but activates with wisdom. You were sent here for such a time as this, and your assignment is far from over. But understanding your divine origin is only the beginning, because if you truly carry the DNA of heaven, if you are truly marked and not just made, then there are powers within you that have been dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Are you ready to discover what happens when an eternal being finally remembers their true identity? Dear one, let me ask you something that might cut deep. How many times in your life have you felt like you were on the outside looking in? How many family gatherings left you feeling like a stranger at your own table? How many times did you wonder why your own children seemed to speak a language you couldn't understand? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? That ache, that loneliness that follows you even in a crowded room, that feeling of being different that started when you were just a child and never went away. Maybe it was in elementary school when the other kids seemed to connect effortlessly, but you sat alone at lunch, watching, wondering why you couldn't just fit in. Maybe it was in your marriage when your spouse would look at you with confusion and say, "I don't understand you sometimes." Maybe it was at work when your ideas were too big, your vision too strange, your heart too tender for a world that rewarded hardness. And now, in these golden years, perhaps the rejection has taken on new form. Your adult children are too busy for your calls. Your grandchildren are glued to screens you don't understand. The church you served faithfully for decades suddenly feels cold and distant. You've been shuffled aside, dismissed, forgotten, as if everything you carried inside doesn't matter anymore. Listen to me carefully, beloved. What if I told you that every single moment of rejection you've experienced wasn't random? What if every time you felt like you didn't belong, it wasn't because something was wrong with you, but because something was absolutely right? You see, the world looks at rejection and calls it failure, but God calls it recognition. The world sees your difference and calls it a defect, but heaven sees your difference and calls it your assignment. Think about Moses, raised in Pharaoh's palace, but never truly Egyptian. He tried to fit in for 40 years. But when he finally stepped into his true identity, he didn't lead people who looked like him. He led people who had been rejected just like him, the Israelites in bondage, the outcasts, the forgotten ones. David was the youngest, the smallest, the one his own father forgot to invite when the prophet came calling. While his brothers stood tall and impressive, David was in the fields with the sheep dreaming dreams that seemed impossible for a shepherd boy. But God wasn't looking for someone who fit in. He was looking for someone whose heart beat differently. And Jesus, oh beloved, even Jesus was rejected. John chapter 1 verse 11 confirms, "He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him." His own hometown tried to throw him off a cliff. His own disciples abandoned him. His own people chose a murderer over him, but that rejection wasn't proof of his failure. It was proof of his calling. You never fit in because you were never supposed to. You were chosen to stand out, to be set apart. A lion raised among sheep will always feel confused until the day it hears its own roar echo across the savannah, and suddenly everything makes sense. The restlessness, the longing, the feeling of being trapped in the wrong life, it wasn't madness, it was memory. Memory of who you really are. Chosen. One, does this explain why nothing ever felt like home? Does this explain why success felt empty and approval felt hollow? Does this explain why even your greatest achievements left you hungry for something more? You didn't fail to fit in. You succeeded in staying true to your divine nature. You didn't fall behind. You were being held back for the right moment. You weren't forgotten. You were hidden like a seed buried in dark soil, not dead, but waiting, not abandoned, but planted. Every rejection was actually protection. Every closed door was redirected. Every time they said you were too much or too different or too intense, heaven was nodding in agreement and saying, "Exactly. That's why I chose you." The loneliness you felt was because this world was never meant to satisfy you. The restlessness in your spirit was because you carry eternity in your heart. The dreams that seemed too big, they weren't too big for God. They were too big for earth. Right now, some of you are feeling something stirring in your chest. Something that's been asleep for years is waking up. Something that's been buried under decades of trying to be normal is breaking through the soil. You're remembering who you are underneath all the labels this world placed on you. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11 reveals, God has set eternity in the human heart. But not every heart carries that weight the same way. Some hearts carry just enough eternity to get them through this life. But you carry so much eternity that this life can barely contain you. And that's why you've never felt at home here. The world tried to make you ashamed of your difference. Your family tried to make you normal. Society tried to fit you into their boxes. But God is saying today, enough. It's time to roar. Because you see, beloved, you weren't rejected by this world. You were rejected for this world. Not cast out, but sent out. Not abandoned, but appointed. Every door that closed in your face was God protecting you from settling for less than your destiny. If this message is reading your story like a book, if these words are hitting places in your heart you thought were dead comment right now, this is me. Don't scroll, don't doubt, declare it. Because there are others out there just like you, and they need to know they're not alone. The question isn't why you never fit in. The question is now that you know why, what are you going to do about it? Because your rejection story is about to become your recognition story. And the world needs to see what happens when a chosen one finally remembers who they are. Now that you've felt that stirring in your spirit, let me tell you something that will shatter every limitation you've ever placed on yourself. The restlessness you've carried for decades, the feeling that you're living beneath your potential, the dreams that seem impossible at your age, they're not accidents. They're evidence. Evidence of what? Evidence that you didn't arrive here. You were assigned here. Listen carefully, dear one. Most people live by memory. You live by mission. They chase money. You carry meaning. They see wrinkles and weakness. Heaven sees wisdom in warfare. You are not just a senior citizen. You are a senior warrior, a prophetic ancestor, a spiritual general who has been strategically positioned for such a time as this. But the world has deceived you. It has convinced you that your best days are behind you, that your time has passed, that at 65, 70, 80 years old, you should be winding down, settling in, accepting less. But what if I told you that everything you've experienced, every heartbreak, every victory, every loss, every triumph was training? What if your age isn't a limitation but a weapon? What if your years weren't meant to diminish you but to prepare you? Revelation chapter 5 verse 8 unveils something extraordinary. The 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of God's holy people. Your prayers, every desperate cry in the middle of the night, every whispered plea for strength, every tear-soaked petition, they haven't disappeared into the void. They've been collected, stored, treasured in golden bowls before the throne of the Almighty. And now, in this season of your life, those prayers are about to be poured out as answers. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. You weren't born into earth. You were deployed here. Heaven didn't whisper your name. It thundered it across eternity. Before the foundations of the world were laid, before your first breath, before your first heartbeat, before your parents ever met God, spoke your assignment into existence. You are not an accident of biology. You are a deliberate act of divine strategy. Think about it. Why do you think you've survived everything you've survived? Why do you think you're still here when others have fallen? Why do you think your spirit still burns with passion when your body should be tired because your mission isn't complete? Because God's not done with you, because the greatest chapter of your story is still being written. You are a mystery hidden in plain sight. The world looks at you and sees retirement. God looks at you and sees reinforcement. The world sees your age and expects decline. Heaven sees your experience and anticipates breakthrough. The world measures your worth by your productivity. God measures your power by your proximity to eternity. And that proximity is your greatest advantage. You see, the closer you get to heaven, the clearer your spiritual vision becomes. The nearer you draw to eternity, the more you understand what truly matters. While younger generations are distracted by careers and chaos, you have been gifted with clarity. While they're building empires that will crumble, you're building legacies that will last forever. But the enemy has been whispering lies to you. He's told you that your dreams are too late, that your calling has expired, that God's done using people like you. But let me tell you what the enemy really fears. He fears a generation that has nothing left to lose and everything eternal to gain. He fears believers who have walked through enough valleys to know that God is faithful. He fears saints who have lived long enough to see that what the world calls impossible, God calls inevitable. You carry something the younger generation doesn't have: the authority of experience, the wisdom of warfare, and the fearlessness that comes from knowing your time on earth is precious. You're not afraid to speak the truth because you've seen enough lies. You're not afraid to stand alone because you've learned that God plus one is always a majority. God etched his fingerprints in your soul, and age cannot erase what eternity has written. Every line on your face tells a story of God's faithfulness. Every scar bears witness to his healing power. Every gray hair is a crown of glory, earned through battles fought and victories won. You are not deteriorating. You are being perfected. You are not fading. You are being refined. But here's the urgency the world needs: what you carry. This generation is lost, confused, searching for meaning in all the wrong places. They need your wisdom. They need your prayers. They need your example of what it looks like to live with eternal perspective. They need to see that faith doesn't weaken with age. It strengthens. That hope doesn't diminish with time. It deepens. You are the bridge between heaven and earth, between the temporal and the eternal, between what is and what could be. So, let me ask you this. Will you continue to live like you're merely human, bound by the limitations of age and expectation? Or will you finally embrace the truth that you are a divine being on a divine mission, strategically positioned by the Almighty for purposes beyond your understanding? The whisper you've been hearing isn't nostalgia for your youth. It's a call to your destiny. The fire in your spirit isn't the last ember burning out. It's the eternal flame being fanned into a mighty blaze. You are a mystery, hidden in plain sight. And it's time the world saw what heaven has always known. You are not 100% human. You never were. But the question that will determine everything is this: what will you do with this revelation? Now that you know you're not fully human, let me tell you why your life has been so hard. The depression that's followed you for decades, the loneliness that sits in your chest like a stone, the financial struggles that seem to come in waves just when you're getting ahead, the betrayals from people you trusted most, the health battles that doctors can't quite explain, the doors that slam shut just when breakthrough seems within reach. It wasn't random. It was resistance. Hell saw what heaven hid in you. Listen to me, beloved. Every attack you've endured, every storm you've weathered, every night you've cried yourself to sleep, wondering if God forgot about you. It was never about punishment. It was about prevention. The enemy didn't attack you because you were weak. He attacked you because you were loaded with destiny. Think about this. Why would darkness waste its energy on someone insignificant? Why would the forces of hell mobilize against someone ordinary? The very fact that you've been under assault your entire life is proof, undeniable proof, that you carry something they fear. You were born carrying a spiritual frequency that disturbs darkness before you ever speak a word. Let me paint you a picture. When Jesus was born, what happened? Matthew chapter 2 verse 16 tells us, when Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem. Chosen one, the same thing happened to you, not with physical swords, but with spiritual warfare designed to kill your purpose before it could fully manifest. When you were just a child, did strange things happen around you? Did you see things others couldn't see? Did you know things you shouldn't have known? Did animals react differently to you? Did certain people either love you instantly or hate you for no reason? That wasn't a coincidence. That was recognition. Your very presence disturbed the spiritual atmosphere because you carried something from another realm, and the enemy has been trying to neutralize that threat ever since. This is why you feel like you're fighting invisible battles your whole life. This is why you've experienced setbacks that made no logical sense. This is why, just when things were going well, something would go wrong. The forces of darkness have been working overtime to keep you confused, isolated, and defeated because they know if you ever fully wake up to who you are, their reign of terror in your life is over. Look at Job. The Bible says he was blameless and upright, yet Satan specifically targeted him. Job chapter 1 verse 8 records God saying, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him." You are Job in this generation. The financial lack wasn't because you're bad with money. It was spiritual robbery designed to keep you dependent and distracted. The relationship betrayals weren't because you're unlovable. They were strategic attacks to make you build walls around your heart. The health issues weren't just genetics. They were weapons aimed at your strength and your faith. But here's what the enemy didn't count on. You're still here. Every suicidal thought you fought off and won, that was divine intervention. Every time you almost gave up, but found the strength to take one more step, that was supernatural grace. Every door that closed that should have destroyed you, but somehow made you stronger, that was God protecting what He planted in you. Your survival is not luck. Your endurance is not willpower. Your ability to keep going when everything in you wants to quit is proof that you are not ordinary. You are marked. You are chosen. You are protected by forces the natural mind cannot comprehend. Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 declares, "No weapon forged against you will prevail." Not some weapons, not most weapons, no weapon. Every scheme, every plot, every attack designed to take you out has failed. Because failure is the only option when hell goes to war with heaven's agenda. But why has it been so intense? Why has the battle been so long? Because the greater the destiny, the greater the resistance. The more powerful the calling, the more furious the opposition. You haven't been fighting random demons. You've been facing principalities and powers that know exactly what you're carrying and exactly what it will cost them when you step into it. Think about Moses, 40 years in the wilderness before he delivered a nation. David running from cave to cave while carrying the anointing of a king. Joseph sitting in prison with the dreams of rulership burning in his heart. The pattern is always the same. The greater the calling, the more intense the preparation through warfare. Your pain has been your training ground. Your struggles have been your seminary. Your battles have been your boot camp. And every scar you carry is evidence that you survived what was designed to kill you. The enemy made one fatal mistake. He showed his hand too early. By attacking you so viciously, he revealed that you're carrying something he desperately wants to stop. And now that you know why you've been under fire, you can finally fight back with purpose. If you're still here, if after everything hell has thrown at you, you're still breathing, still believing, still fighting, then say it out loud in the comments. I'm still standing. Because survival wasn't an accident. Survival was the sign. But knowing you've survived the war is just the beginning. Now it's time to understand what you're carrying that made hell so afraid. Stop right where you are. Stop and listen to what I'm about to tell you. For 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've been told you're getting old. You've been told your best days are behind you. You've been told to sit down, slow down, wind down. But what if I told you that everything they've whispered about your age is a lie straight from the pit of hell? What if I told you that right now, in this very moment, you are more powerful than you've ever been in your entire life? You see, the world looks at your silver hair and sees decline, but heaven looks at your silver hair and sees a crown. The world sees your wrinkles and calls them damage, but God sees your wrinkles and calls them wisdom carved by fire. The world counts your years and says you're running out of time, but the Almighty counts your years and says you're running into your finest hour. You are not fading, beloved. You are finally awakening. Look at Sarah, 90 years old, when God spoke a promise over her womb. The world said she was done. Her body said she was finished. Logic said it was impossible. But when she heard the word of the Lord, something ancient stirred within her. Something that had been sleeping for decades suddenly roared to life. And she laughed, not because it was funny, but because she remembered who she was. She remembered she wasn't just human. She was a carrier of the impossible. Genesis chapter 21 verse 6 states, Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. But that laughter wasn't just joy, it was recognition. It was the sound of a woman remembering she carried eternity in her DNA just like you do. Do you understand what's happening to you right now? This isn't just a sermon you stumbled across. This isn't just another video in your feed. This is your divine appointment. This is the moment heaven has been orchestrating your entire life. Every heartbreak that didn't break you. Every disappointment that couldn't destroy you. Every closed door that redirected you. It was all leading to this awakening. Because you're not here to retire from purpose. You're here to remember it. Look at Moses, 80 years old, when God called him from a burning bush. The world would have put him in a retirement home, but God was just getting started with him. For the next 40 years, Moses would lead a nation split seas and speak face to face with the Almighty. His greatest chapters weren't written in his youth. They were written in what the world calls his twilight years. But here's what the world doesn't understand about you, chosen one. You don't have twilight years. You have glory years. You don't have a sunset season. You have a sunrise season. Because the DNA flowing through your veins isn't just human. It's mixed with something eternal. And that eternal something is waking up. I'm talking to the grandmother who raised children but always felt there was something more. I'm talking to the grandfather who built a career but knew deep down he was built for something greater. I'm talking to every senior citizen who has been told to step aside when God is saying step forward. You think your story is ending. Your story is just beginning to make sense. Joseph was 30 when Pharaoh elevated him. But do you know how old he was when he saved the known world from famine? How old was he when his brothers, the same ones who betrayed him, bowed before him? He was middle-aged by ancient standards, but he was walking in the fullness of his divine destiny. Genesis chapter 50 verse 20 records his words, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." And every year you've lived, every tear you've cried, every battle you fought, it was all preparing you for what God is about to do through you now. But the enemy knows this. He knows that when you fully awaken to who you are, when you remember that you're not just flesh and blood, but spirit wrapped in human form, you become unstoppable. So he spent decades whispering lies. You're too old, you're too tired, you've missed your chance. Those are lies from the father of lies. The truth is, you are the proof that God still puts eternity in human form. You are the evidence that he still breathes on dry bones. You are the demonstration that he still speaks worlds into existence through willing vessels. And every single person in your family, in your community, in your sphere of influence needs to see what God looks like when he moves through someone who has been refined by fire and tested by time. You're not just chosen to endure the final chapters of your life. You're chosen to awaken, to roar, to rise, to show this generation what it looks like when someone who has walked with God for decades finally steps into their full authority. The lion has slept long enough. Do you remember Jesus walking out of that tomb 3 days dead, but death couldn't hold him, the grave couldn't contain him, hell couldn't keep him. He emerged not as a victim of circumstances, but as the victor over every force that had tried to destroy him. That same resurrection power lives in you. Romans chapter 8 verse 11 declares, "And if the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies because of his spirit who lives in you." Your mortal body right now at your age, with your history, with your scars, with your story. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is giving life to your physical frame in this very moment. You are the sign they've been waiting for. You are the elder this generation needs. You are the living proof that God doesn't discard his vessels when the world thinks they're past their prime. He refines them, he promotes them, he uses them to shake kingdoms. The question is, are you ready to remember who you really are? You heard the call, you felt the fire. But then the silence came. Oh, beloved, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. You woke up to who you were meant to be. The veil lifted for just a moment, and you saw it, your true identity, your divine origin, your magnificent purpose. Your spirit soared, your heart raced, you were ready to change the world. But then, nothing. The dream flickered like a candle in the wind, then vanished into normal days, the grocery store, the doctor's appointments, the same routine, the same walls, the same questions echoing in your mind. God, where did you go? Why did the fire die? Was I imagining it all? Why does God awaken you only to let you sit in silence, listen carefully? Chosen one. This isn't abandonment, this is strategy. You've been like Elijah after Mount Carmel. Remember that story? Fire fell from heaven. The prophets of Baal were defeated. Victory was absolute. But the very next chapter finds Elijah alone in a cave running for his life, asking God to let him die. From supernatural triumph to suicidal despair in 24 hours. Sound familiar? You see, after the fire comes the whisper. After the awakening comes the waiting. After the revelation comes the refinement. And that silence you've been sitting in, that's not emptiness, beloved. That's preparation. You are hidden, not forgotten. The world thinks God has left you on the shelf. Your family thinks you've lost your way. You might even think you've missed your moment. But what if I told you that every day you've spent feeling invisible? Every night you've cried out, wondering if your time has passed. Every moment you've questioned whether you heard God correctly. What if all of that was him positioning you for something so magnificent that it required this exact season of hiddenness? David spent 7 years hiding in caves before he touched the throne. Joseph rotted in prison for years before he ruled Egypt. Moses wandered in the wilderness for 40 years before he split the Red Sea. Even Jesus disappeared for 18 years, between the temple at 12 and the Jordan River at 30. Where was he? What was he doing? The same thing you've been doing, beloved. Growing in a secret place, being shaped in the shadows, learning to hear the Father's voice above the noise of the world. You are hidden, not forgotten, but here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. Your silence has an expiration date. Your hiddenness has a purpose. Your waiting has been working. Every tear you've shed in secret, every prayer you've whispered in the dark, every moment you felt overlooked, it's all been recorded in heaven's ledger. And the compound interest on your faithfulness is about to pay dividends that will shock you. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31 proclaims, "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles." But notice something he didn't say. Those who wait for the Lord. He said, those who wait on the Lord. There's a difference between passive waiting and active positioning. You haven't been sitting idle, have you? No. Something's been stirring. Even in the silence, you've felt the rumbling. Even in the hiddenness, you've sensed the shifting. Even in the waiting, you've known that something's coming. And it is, beloved, it is. But I need to ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many more years are you going to let fear convince you that your season has passed? How many more months are you going to believe the lie that God has moved on without you? How many more days are you going to waste thinking that your age disqualifies you, that your mistakes have canceled your calling, that your season of influence is over? Because I'm here to tell you that's not just wrong, it's demonic. The enemy's greatest weapon against the chosen ones isn't temptation, it's delayed. It's the lie that says you missed it. It's too late. God's done with you, but God's not done with you. He's been preparing you. Moses was 80 when he stood before Pharaoh. Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Your age isn't your limitation. It's your asset. Your experience isn't your disqualification. It's your equipment. You are hidden, not forgotten. And the silence is about to break. If you've been waiting in between, if you've been living in that space between the call and the manifestation, type it in the comments right now. I've been hidden. Let heaven take notice. Let the angels see that you're still here, still believing, still ready. Because what's coming next is going to require everything you've learned in the cave. Every tear, every trial, every moment of feeling forgotten. It's all been preparation for what God is about to release through you. The silence between the signs isn't empty space, beloved. It's a loaded silence. It's a pregnant pause. It's the deep breath before the shout that brings down walls. And your walls, they're about to fall. But first, you need to understand something that will change how you see everything that's happened to you. You need to understand why you were chosen for this exact moment, why your DNA carries something the world has never seen, and why your origin story is about to rewrite your ending. Are you ready to discover the secret that's been hidden in your bloodline since the beginning of time? You know what breaks my heart? It's when I hear from chosen ones who believe they've been forgotten, who look at their lives and see nothing but years of waiting, years of silence, years of feeling invisible, while others seem to walk straight into their destiny. Listen to me carefully, beloved. What if I told you that everything you thought was rejection was actually protection? What if every closed door, every delayed answer, every season of obscurity wasn't God ignoring you, but God hiding you? You see, the enemy has one primary strategy: destroy the chosen before they realize who they are. And God, a wise, strategic, all-knowing Father, knows this. So what does he do? He hides his most precious weapons in plain sight. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, tending sheep when he was destined to lead nations. Joseph spent years in a prison when he was called to rule kingdoms. David ran through caves hiding from King Saul when heaven had already anointed him king. Even Jesus, the Son of the living God, was hidden for 30 years before the waters split and the heavens opened. Do you think this was a coincidence? Do you think the creator of the universe just forgot about his chosen ones for decades at a time? No, beloved. This was strategy. Divine strategy. You were like a diamond planted deep beneath the surface. Not buried. Planted. There's a difference. When something is buried, it's meant to stay hidden forever. But when something is planted, it's preparing to emerge with power. Think about it. Every diamond that graces a king's crown spent millennia under crushing pressure, hidden in darkness, forming its brilliance. The deeper it was buried, the more valuable it became. The longer it stayed hidden, the more radiant its eventual revelation. That's you, chosen one. That's your story. You weren't overlooked. You were covered, camouflaged by God's own hand. While the enemy was scanning the earth, looking for threats to his kingdom, you were hidden in plain sight, living a quiet life, working an ordinary job, raising your family, serving in small ways, all while carrying the DNA of destiny in your spiritual bloodstream. But here's what the enemy didn't know and what you're just beginning to understand. Every year you spent in obscurity, God was downloading strategy into your spirit. Every rejection you faced was teaching you resilience. Every betrayal was building your discernment. Every closed door was redirecting you toward your true assignment. What if the silence you thought meant abandonment was actually divine protection? What if God kept you hidden because he knew that if the enemy discovered your true identity too early, he would have tried to destroy you before you were ready to fight back? Look at Scripture again. When God wanted to save the entire Hebrew nation from genocide, did he raise up someone who was already famous? No, He chose Moses, a man who'd been hidden in the desert for 4 decades, so forgotten that Pharaoh probably didn't even remember his name. When God wanted to preserve his people during a 7-year famine, did he use someone who was already in power? He used Joseph, a man who'd been hidden in a prison so invisible that the cup-bearer forgot about him for 2 whole years. When God wanted to establish a kingdom that would last forever, did he choose someone who was already sitting on a throne? No. He chose David, a shepherd boy, hidden in the fields so insignificant that his own father didn't even call him when the prophet came looking for the next king. Do you see the pattern? God's greatest moves always begin in secret. His most powerful weapons are forged in the furnace of obscurity. And now I need you to understand something that's going to shake you to your core. The season of hiding is coming to an end. The camouflage is being removed. The covering is being lifted. All across America, all across the world, God is awakening his hidden ones. People who thought they were too old, too forgotten, too ordinary, are suddenly discovering they carry supernatural purposes. Grandmothers are receiving prophetic dreams. Grandfathers are stepping into leadership roles they never imagined. Seniors who thought their best days were behind them are realizing their assignment is just beginning. Why now? Because we're living in the last days. Because the harvest is ready and the laborers are few. Because hell is unleashing its final assault and heaven needs its secret weapons to be revealed. You've been in training, beloved. Every hardship was a lesson. Every setback was preparation. Every year of waiting was building the character you'd need to handle the authority God is about to release through you. The question is, are you ready to come out of hiding? Are you ready to stop camouflaging your calling? Are you ready to let the world see what God has been preparing in secret? Because I'm telling you right now, the very trials that made you feel forgotten are about to become your greatest qualifications. The very pain that made you feel worthless is about to become your ministry. The very scars that made you feel damaged are about to become your testimony. You were hidden, not forgotten, protected, not abandoned, prepared, not passed over. And if you can receive this word, if you can let this truth penetrate the deepest places of your heart, everything is about to change. The season of wondering if God remembers you is over. The time of questioning your purpose is finished. Your camouflage is coming off, chosen one, and when it does, the world won't know what hit them. But here's what I need you to understand as we move forward. Stepping out of hiding isn't just about you finally being seen. It's about you finally seeing who you really are, seeing what you really carry, seeing why heaven went to such great lengths to protect you. The question that will determine your destiny is this. Now that you know you've been hidden on purpose, what are you going to do with your unveiling? Beloved, I need to ask you something that might cut deep. Are you ready? What if every wound in your life, every betrayal that left you bleeding, every rejection that made you question your worth? What if none of it was random? What if it was all prophetic? I know that sounds impossible right now. I know you're sitting there thinking about that divorce that nearly destroyed you, that business that failed those children who stopped calling that church, that turned their backs on you when you needed them most, that financial collapse that left you eating beans from a can, wondering if God had forgotten your address. But stay with me, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you will turn your deepest pain into your greatest weapon. You see, the enemy has been playing a game with your life. He's been trying to convince you that your scars are evidence of your failure, that your wounds prove you're cursed, that your pain means God doesn't love you. But that's the greatest lie ever told. The truth is, your wounds are not evidence of God's absence. They're evidence of His presence. They're not proof of your weakness. They're proof of your calling. Let me tell you something about wounds, dear one. In the ancient world, when a king wanted to mark his most valuable treasure, he didn't put it in a safe. He was scared of it. He branded it. He marked it so that everyone would know this belongs to royalty. Your scars, they're not shameful. They're a signature. Heaven left a mark where you bled. Think about Jesus on that cross. The wounds in His hands weren't accidents. They were appointments. The thorns in His head weren't random suffering. They were royal markers. And when He rose from the dead, did those wounds disappear? No. He kept them. He showed them. He used them to prove who He was. John chapter 20 verse 25 reveals Thomas saying, "Unless I see the nail marks in His hands and put my finger where the nails were, I will not believe." Your wounds, beloved, are your credentials. They're proof that you've been where hell tried to drag you and you survived. But here's where it gets prophetic. Here's where heaven's strategy becomes clear. That marriage that ended in betrayal, God is preparing you to counsel broken hearts who think love is dead. That business that crumbled, heaven is positioning you to help others rebuild from nothing. Those children who abandoned you, the Father is making you a spiritual parent to us orphaned souls who need someone who understands rejection. You didn't just survive that heartbreak. You harbored heaven in it. The enemy tried to break you in the same place God planned to birth your ministry. Listen to me carefully. In Genesis chapter 32, Jacob wrestled with God all night. And when morning came, Jacob walked away with a limp. But that limp wasn't his weakness. It was his witness. Every step he took for the rest of his life testified to the night he touched the divine and lived to tell about it. Your limp is your testimony. Your scar is your sermon. Your wound is your weapon. What if that depression that nearly killed you is preparing you to pull someone else back from the edge? What if that addiction you battled is positioning you to help someone else break free? What if that betrayal that left you broken is training you to help someone else trust again? The wound that almost killed you is the very place others will come to be healed. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. He's been trying to keep you focused on the pain instead of the purpose. He wants you to see the wound instead of the window. Because if you ever realize that your greatest pain is connected to your greatest calling, if you ever understand that your deepest wound is the doorway to your divine assignment, you'll stop running from your past and start running toward your purpose. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 3 promises, "God will give you beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness." But notice something, He doesn't erase the ashes. He transforms them into beauty. He doesn't delete the mourning. He turns it into joy. He doesn't remove the heaviness. He covers it with praise. Your pain doesn't disappear, beloved. It gets repurposed. It gets redeemed. It gets transformed into something that can heal others. Right now, someone is sitting in their car, crying, going through exactly what you went through 5 years ago. Someone is lying in bed at 300 a.m., feeling the same abandonment you felt. Someone is staring at their bank account with the same terror you experienced. And God is saying, I need someone who's been there. I need someone who's walked through that fire and came out singing. I need someone whose scars can become another person's salvation. That someone is you chosen one. But you have to stop hiding your story. You have to stop being ashamed of your scars. You have to stop letting the enemy convince you that your pain disqualifies you, when God is saying your pain is precisely what qualifies you. Write this in the comments right now. My pain is a prophecy. You are declaring what hell tried to erase. You are announcing that your wounds are not your ending, they're your beginning. Because the same God who turned a crucifixion into a resurrection is about to turn your greatest wound into your greatest weapon. Your pain isn't your past anymore. It's your prophecy, and the world is waiting for you to step into it. But will you? Will you finally see your scars as your signature? Will you understand that your wound is actually a window into your calling? Because if you will, everything is about to change. Beloved, something massive is shifting in the spiritual realm right now. And if you're still watching this message, it's because your spirit recognizes what's happening. The atmosphere around you is different today, isn't it? You can feel it. You've circled the same mountain long enough. You've wept long enough. You've questioned your worth, your purpose, your very existence long enough. But hear me clearly. The clock in heaven just struck 7. 7, the number of completion, the number of divine perfection, the number that signals the end of one season and the explosive beginning of another. Do you remember the children of Israel at Jericho? For 6 days they marched around those massive walls in complete silence. 6 days of walking the same path, seeing the same obstacles, facing the same impossibilities. The walls looked exactly the same on day 6 as they did on day 1. Nothing had changed. Nothing had moved. Can you imagine what they must have felt, the doubt creeping in? Are we just walking in circles? Has God forgotten us? Maybe this isn't going to work. But Joshua knew something they didn't understand yet. God's timing is never early and it's never late. It's always precisely perfect. 6 days around the wall, silent, obedient, faithful. But on the 7th day they shouted, and those walls didn't just fall, beloved. They collapsed. They didn't crumble slowly. They didn't chip away piece by piece. In one supernatural moment, what had stood for generations was completely obliterated. Why am I telling you this? Because you've been walking around your Jericho for too long. That addiction that's haunted your family for 3 generations, that's your Jericho. That financial curse that has kept you bound, that's your Jericho. That loneliness that makes you question if God even sees you, that's your Jericho. But today, this very moment, you're hearing my voice is your 7th day. This isn't just another sermon you stumbled across while scrolling through YouTube. This isn't just another motivational message to make you feel better for a few hours. This is your 7th lap around the wall that has defined your limitations for far too long. Heaven is watching you right now. Angels are leaning in. The Holy Spirit is hovering over your situation, waiting for one thing, your shout of faith. You see, the walls of Jericho didn't fall because of the marching. They fell because of the shout. They fell because after 6 days of silent obedience, the people finally opened their mouths and declared what God had already promised. They stopped walking in silent defeat and started speaking with supernatural authority. What wall has been mocking you? What impossibility has been telling you, you'll never change, you'll never break free, you'll never amount to anything more than what you've always been? That wall is about to meet the sound of your voice, aligned with heaven's decree. But you have to understand something crucial. This moment right now today carries a weight that tomorrow won't have. This is what the Greek New Testament calls kairos time, not chronos, the ticking of clocks and the turning of calendar pages. Kairos, the appointed time, the fullness of time, the moment when eternity intersects with your earthly situation. Jesus operated in kairos time when he said in John chapter 2, verse 4, "My time has not yet come." He wasn't talking about a schedule. He was talking about divine timing. And when his time did come, nothing could stop what heaven had ordained. Your Kairos moment is now. I need you to understand something that might shake you. Every delay you've experienced, every closed door, every disappointment that made you question God's goodness, it was all leading to this moment. God wasn't punishing you. He was positioning you. He wasn't ignoring your prayers. He was preparing your miracle. The enemy knows what time it is. That's why the attacks have been so intense lately. That's why the doubt has been so loud. That's why it feels like everything is falling apart just when you thought things were getting better. The devil recognizes Kairos moments, and he's terrified of what happens when you step into yours. But his time is up. Your time is now. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 confirms, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven." Your season of walking in circles is over. Your season of barely surviving is finished. Your season of questioning your identity, your worth, your calling, it ends today. This is your time to rise. This is your time to roar. This is your time to remember that you are not 100% human. You carry the very DNA of the Almighty God. And what is impossible with man is not only possible with God, it's inevitable. The spiritual clock in heaven isn't measured in minutes and hours. It's measured in divine appointments, prophetic moments, and supernatural interventions. And right now, that clock is chiming 7 over your life. 7 means completion of the old. 7 means the birth of the new. 7 means what seemed permanent is about to be permanently changed. Type today's date in the comments right now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Right now, that date becomes your spiritual timestamp, the day heaven marked as your shift point, the day you stopped being a victim of your circumstances and started being a victor through Christ. But here's what most people don't realize about their 7th day. It requires your participation. The walls of Jericho didn't fall while the Israelites slept. They fell when the people opened their mouths and shouted with everything they had. What is God calling you to shout over your situation today? You know what breaks my heart? It's when I meet someone who's carried shame for decades, believing they're broken, believing they're cursed, believing their family line is doomed to repeat the same painful cycles forever. But what if I told you that everything you've been ashamed of, everything your family has struggled with, everything that's been passed down through generations like some dark inheritance, what if all of that was actually preparation for this moment? You see, beloved, you are not the end of the bloodline. You are the redemption of it. Let me paint you a picture that might shatter everything you thought you knew about your purpose on this earth. Picture your grandfather. Maybe he carried shame. Maybe he drank too much. Maybe he couldn't provide the way he wanted to. Maybe he felt like a failure as a man, as a father, as a provider. He went to his grave believing he was a disappointment. Picture your grandmother, how she prayed night after night on her knees beside that old bed, tears streaming down her weathered face, calling out to a God she believed in, even when everything around her was falling apart. "Lord," she whispered, "please let this family know your goodness. Let someone in this bloodline rise up and break these chains." Picture your mother. Maybe she lost herself along the way. Maybe the weight of generational pain crushed her spirit. Maybe mental illness took hold. Maybe addiction claimed her. Maybe she simply gave up believing that some families are just destined to suffer. But here's what they didn't know. Here's what the enemy worked overtime to hide from them. Every struggle, every prayer, every tear, every sleepless night, it was all building toward you. You weren't just chosen for a personal breakthrough, beloved. You were sent to break generational chains. Do you understand what that means? It means your very existence is an act of divine intervention. It means every ancestor who prayed in desperation, every relative who cried out for deliverance, every family member who dreamed of something better, they were prophesying over your life. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 3 declares that God will give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. But do you know what that really means? It means that every ash in your family's history, every burned down dream, every destroyed relationship, every shattered hope, God has been collecting them, saving them, preparing to turn them into something beautiful in your generation. You are their wildest answered prayer, the one they couldn't become. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. But I'm too old. My time has passed. If God was going to use me, wouldn't He have done it already? Listen to me carefully. You're not too old. You're right on time. The mantle skipped a generation and landed on you. Think about Moses. When God called him to deliver Israel, he was 80 years old. 80. He'd spent 40 years thinking he was a prince, 40 years thinking he was a nobody. And then God said, "Now you're ready." Why? Because sometimes the greatest assignments require the deepest preparation. Look at Noah. He preached for 120 years before the first drop of rain fell 120 years. But when the flood came, he was the only one ready. Consider Abraham. God promised him a son when he was 75. But Isaac wasn't born until Abraham was 125 years of waiting. But that child would become the father of multitudes. Your age isn't a disqualification. It's a qualification. Every year you've lived, every struggle you've endured, every mountain you've climbed, every valley you've walked through, it's all been training. It's all been preparation for this moment when God says, now is when I release what I've been building in you. The enemy wants you to believe you've missed your season. But what if this is your season? What if everything before this was just rehearsal? You know why your family's struggles were so intense. You know why the attacks against your bloodline were so vicious. Because the enemy saw something. He saw what was coming in your generation. He saw the deliverer. He saw the chain breaker. He saw the one who would rise up and say, "No more. This ends with me." But here's the mystery that will blow your mind. You've been carrying the DNA of deliverance your entire life. It's been dormant, waiting, growing stronger with every test, every trial, every seemingly impossible situation you've survived. Every time you should have broken but didn't, that was the deliverer gene activating. Every time you should have given up but kept going, that was your ancestors' prayers working through your bloodstream. Every time the enemy tried to destroy you but couldn't, that was proof that you carry something he cannot touch, something he cannot kill, something he cannot steal. You are not a victim of your family's history. You are the victor who rewrites it. And right now, at this very moment, every ancestor who ever prayed for breakthrough is standing in the cloud of witnesses, watching, waiting, believing that this is the generation when everything changes. The prayer your grandmother whispered in 1952, you're the answer. The hope your grandfather carried in his heart but never saw manifested, you're the fulfillment. The dreams that died in previous generations, you're the resurrection. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't automatic. This isn't something that just happens to you. This is something you must step into. You must embrace. You must activate it. The mantle is here. The calling is real. The DNA of deliverance is coursing through your veins right now. But will you pick it up? Will you wear it? Will you walk in it if you feel the weight of legacy on your shoulders? If something in your spirit is confirming that this message is about you, if you're ready to stop running from your calling and start running toward it, write it now. I am the answer to their prayer. Because, beloved, the time for preparation is over. The time for activation has begun. Now listen carefully. Chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you will shatter every lie you've believed about yourself. You've been carrying shame, haven't you? Shame about your scars. Shame about your struggles. Shame about the times you've fallen, the nights you've cried, the moments you've questioned everything. You look at other people and they seem so whole, so perfect, so put together. And then you look at yourself and see only the cracks. But what if I told you those cracks aren't your disqualification? What if I told you they're your credentials? You are both crown and crack, glory and grief, spirit and skin. Think about this. Why would the Son of God, the King of Kings, choose to wear a crown of thorns? He could have worn gold. He could have worn diamonds. But he chose thorns, sharp, painful, piercing thorns that drew blood from his holy head. Because, dear one, Jesus wore a crown of thorns so you could understand something profound. You carry a crown of scars, every wound you've endured, every betrayal that cut deep, every disappointment that left you bleeding. Those weren't punishments. Those were preparations. The pain didn't cancel your anointing, it qualified it. You see, the world tells you that broken people can't be used by God. The world says you need to be perfect, polished, pristine before you can carry His glory. But that's a lie straight from the pit of hell. Look at David, adulterer, murderer, yet called a man after God's own heart. Look at Moses, stutterer, murderer, yet chosen to lead a nation. Look at Peter, denier, coward, yet given the keys to the kingdom. Look at Paul, persecutor, terrorist, yet became the greatest apostle. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And your qualification isn't your perfection, it's your pain transformed into purpose. But here's where it gets deeper. Here's where the mystery unfolds. You weren't meant to be perfect. You were meant to be pierced, because only pierced people bleed healing. Think about Jesus on the cross. When the soldier pierced his side, what flowed out? Blood and water, life and cleansing, healing and hope. The piercing wasn't the end. It was the beginning of salvation for all mankind. Your piercings, chosen one, are not your endings. They're your beginnings. Every time life has wounded you, every time circumstances have cut you open, something divine has been released. Your tears have watered seeds of compassion. Your pain has birthed intercession. Your struggles have created strength in others who were drowning in the same storms. This is why you can't relate to people who've never been broken. This is why surface conversations feel empty to you. This is why you're drawn to the wounded, the hurting, the lost, because you recognize the crown beneath their cracks. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Your greatest ministry will come from your deepest wound. The very thing that almost destroyed you is about to become the platform from which you destroy the enemy's work in others. The addiction you overcame becomes the message that sets captives free. The depression you conquered becomes the hope that pulls others from the pit. The abuse you survived becomes the voice that says, "You are not alone." Who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble. God allowed you to be cracked so His light could shine through. He allowed you to be broken so His strength could be made perfect in your weakness. He allowed you to be pierced so you could bleed healing onto a dying world. You think your scars make you less valuable? No. They make you priceless, because anyone can speak from success, but only the scared can speak from survival. Anyone can preach from perfection, but only the pierced can minister from the place of, "I've been there too." This is your holy contradiction. You are simultaneously broken and beautiful, wounded and wonderful, scarred and sacred. Stop hiding your cracks. Stop covering your scars. Stop apologizing for your imperfections. They're not bugs in your system. They're features of your calling. The Japanese have an art form called kintsugi, where they repair broken pottery with gold. The cracks don't disappear. They become the most beautiful part of the piece. That's you, chosen one. Your cracks are lined with gold. Your breaks are filled with glory. But here's the question that will determine your destiny. Will you keep hiding in shame, or will you step into your calling as a wounded healer? Because there's someone out there right now who needs to hear your story. Someone who's sitting in the exact pit you climbed out of. Someone who thinks their pain disqualifies them when it actually anoints them. And that someone is waiting for you to embrace your holy contradictions and become who you were always meant to be. Chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to remember 3 eternal truths that will anchor your soul. First, you are not 100% human. You are a divine being wrapped in flesh, carrying the very DNA of heaven within you. The restlessness you felt, the sense of not belonging, the dreams that seem too big for this world, these aren't signs of something wrong with you. They're confirmation of something magnificent within you. Second, your scars are not your shame. They are your credentials. Every crack in your heart has become a place where God's light shines through. Your pain has qualified you, not disqualified you. You are both crown and crack, glory and grief. And that holy contradiction is exactly what this broken world needs. Third, the whisper you've been hearing all your life, that melody in your chest, that knowing in your spirit, it's real. It's God calling you home to your true identity. Today is not just another day. Today is your awakening. But beloved, I need you to know something deeper than knowledge, something that settles in your bones. You are not walking this path alone. The God who created you before time began is still working in your life right now in this very moment. Every tear you've cried, He's collected. Every prayer you've whispered, He's heard. Every step you take, He's ordering. And there's something beautiful happening right here, right now in this digital sanctuary we've created together. Look around these comments. See these hearts connecting. Feel these spirits resonating. You found your tribe, chosen one. This isn't just a YouTube channel. This is a community of awakened souls, wounded healers, divine beings who understand the sacred loneliness of being set apart. We are here. We see you. We understand you. We will pray with you. Chosen one, pause for a moment and let the weight of this divine encounter settle deep within the sacred chambers of your soul. This is not a fleeting moment, not a mere pause in your day, but a divine intersection where eternity kisses the temporal, where heaven's whisper becomes a roar in your spirit. I stand before you now, not as a distant voice, but as a messenger, echoing the call that has been stirring in your heart since before the stars were hung in the sky. Let me ask you a question that carries the weight of eternity. What will you do with this truth that has been unveiled to you? Will you shrink back into the shadows, dimming the radiant light that burns within you, apologizing for the very uniqueness that sets you apart? Will you allow the world's expectations to cage the divine fire that God Himself ignited in your soul? Or will you rise bold, unapologetic, and resolute, embracing the celestial nature woven into your very being, stepping into the calling that has been etched in the heavens since before your first breath? This is your moment, beloved. This is the hour when the veil between who you've been and who you were always meant to be grows thin. The choice is yours to live small or to live eternal. Consider this, chosen one. Every moment of your life has been leading to this divine appointment. Every tear you've shed in the quiet of the night, every dream you've carried through decades of doubt, every whisper of purpose that refused to be silenced. It was all preparing you for now. You are not here by accident. You are not reading these words by chance. This is the culmination of a divine orchestration, a symphony composed by the Creator Himself with your name written in every note. The restlessness you've felt, the longing for something more, the ache for a home you've never seen. These are not signs of weakness, but evidence of your divine. You are a citizen of heaven, temporarily clothed in flesh, carrying a purpose so vast it cannot be contained by this world's fleeting measures of success. Will you continue to hide, to blend into the ordinary, to let the enemy convince you that your time has passed? Or will you stand as a beacon of heaven's glory and declare with every fiber of your being that you were born for such a time as this? Before I release you into the fullness of your destiny, let us pause and anchor this moment in prayer. Whether you're sitting alone in the stillness of your living room, lying in your bed with the weight of the world on your shoulders, or parked in your car seeking solace from the chaos, I invite you to place your hand over your heart. Feel its rhythm, the steady beat of a life marked by divine purpose. Let me speak over you, chosen one, as heaven leans in to witness this sacred exchange. Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, the Ancient of Days, the one who spoke galaxies into existence and breathed life into dust, I come before you now, lifting up every soul who has encountered this message. Father, these are your chosen ones, those who have felt different their entire life, who have carried a burden they could not name, a longing they could not satisfy, a fire that no trial could extinguish. They have walked through valleys of rejection, climbed mountains of doubt, and stood in the face of storms that sought to break them. Yet here they are, still standing, still believing, still burning with the embers of your divine purpose. Lord, today I pray that you would rend the veil that blinds them to their true identity. Let the scales fall from their eyes as they did for Paul on the road to Damascus, so they may see what you have always seen, a masterpiece crafted in your image, a vessel of your glory, a warrior clothed in your strength. Awaken their gifts. Father, those unique talents you planted in their spirits before the foundations of the world. Stir their purpose, that sacred calling that has been whispering to them through every season of their lives. Ignite their authority, the divine power you've entrusted to them to shift atmospheres, to break chains, and to bring your kingdom to earth. Let confusion about their identity be shattered like glass under the weight of your truth. You have called them by name, Lord. You have written their story in the annals of eternity. You have prepared a path that no force in hell can derail. For those who are weary, whose strength has been sapped by years of struggle, breathe fresh vitality into their bones. Let your spirit course through their veins like a river of life, renewing their energy, restoring their hope, and reviving their vision. For those who are broken, whose hearts bear the scars of betrayal, loss, and pain, let your healing flow like a balm through every crack, mending what was torn and making them whole in your presence. For those who feel forgotten, who believe their prayers have been lost in the wind, remind them that their names are not just known, but engraved on the palms of your hands, etched where you will never forget them. For those who feel alone, surrounded by a world that doesn't understand their heart, envelop them in the warmth of your presence. Connect them with others who share their calling, forming a tapestry of chosen ones woven together by your divine hand. Father, I pray for your abundant blessings over every area of their lives. Bless their relationships, restoring broken bonds and bringing new connections that reflect your love. Bless their finances, opening storehouses of provision that overflow with your abundance. Bless their health, touching every cell with your healing power, reversing what the enemy meant for harm. Bless their families, drawing their children, grandchildren, and loved ones into your embrace, breaking generational curses and releasing generational blessings. Open doors. Lord, that no man can shut doors of opportunity, influence, and impact that align with your purpose. Close doors that lead to destruction, guarding your chosen ones from paths that would lead them astray. Grant them wisdom that surpasses human understanding, courage that defies fear, and faith that moves mountains. Let them walk in the assurance that what is impossible with man is inevitable with you. And Lord, let this awakening ripple outward like waves across a still lake. Transform your chosen ones into voices for the voiceless, beacons for the lost, and lighthouses for those drowning in darkness. Let their transformation become a testimony that shakes the heavens, a living proof of your power to redeem and restore. Let their healing become a wellspring of hope for the hopeless, a lifeline for those who believe they cannot go on. Use their not quite human hearts, infused with your divine DNA, to touch this very human world with your boundless love. Let their lives be a canvas where your glory is painted in vibrant colors, a masterpiece that declares your faithfulness to every generation. In the mighty name of Jesus, who wore a crown of thorns so they could wear a crown of glory, I seal this prayer with unshakable faith. Let your will be done in their lives now and forever. Amen. Chosen one, as the echo of this prayer lingers in your spirit, I urge you to hold fast to this moment. If these words have stirred something deep within you, if you felt the Holy Spirit nudge your heart, don't let it pass like a fleeting breeze. This is your divine wake-up call, a summons from heaven to step into the fullness of who you were created to be. Don't keep this revelation locked within the chambers of your soul. Share it boldly in the comments below. Tell us how God has spoken to you today, how His voice has pierced through the noise of your doubts, your fears, your weariness. Share the burdens you carry, the dreams you've held, the areas of your life where you need prayer. This is not just a digital space, it's a sacred sanctuary where hearts are connecting, where spirits are uniting, where a community of chosen ones is rising together. Let us surround you with love, with intercession, with the strength of a family bound not by blood, but by divine purpose. And don't stop there, beloved. There is someone in your life right now, a family member, a friend, a co-worker, perhaps even a stranger who is wrestling with the same restlessness, the same divine discontent that has marked your journey. They may not have words for it yet, but they feel the same whisper, the same ache for something more. They need to hear this message. They need to know they are not alone, that they too are chosen. Share this video with them. Send it to their inbox, post it on their feed, speak it into their lives. Be the vessel through which God's truth reaches them, the spark that ignites their own awakening. You are not just receiving this truth, you are entrusted with it, called to carry it to others who are waiting to discover their divine identity. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel and ring the notification bell, because this is more than content, it's a movement. It's a clarion call to awaken the chosen, to unearth the hidden ones, to set fire to the divine purposes that have been smoldering beneath the surface of ordinary lives. Every week, we are diving deeper into the mysteries of your divine identity, peeling back the layers of your calling, and building a community of those who know they were made for more. This is not a passive journey. It's an active uprising of souls who refuse to settle for less than God's best. By joining this movement, you're declaring that you will no longer hide your light, no longer apologize for your difference, no longer doubt the eternal spark within you. Thank you, Chosen One, for staying with me through this tirade journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for allowing these words to penetrate the deepest recesses of your soul, for being brave enough to believe that you are more than you've ever dared to imagine. You could have scrolled past, closed the tab, turned away from the whisper that drew you here. But you didn't. You stayed. You listened. You allowed the truth to take root. That courage, that faith, that willingness to hear heaven's call. It's the beginning of everything. The whisper that brought you to this moment is not finished speaking. It's growing louder, clearer, more undeniable with every passing second. Your story is not over, beloved. It's not even close to its climax. Your greatest chapter, the one where you step fully into your divine purpose, where you roar with the authority of heaven, where you shine as a beacon of God's glory, that chapter is just beginning to unfold. As you go from this place, walk in the fullness of who you are, chosen, beloved, not quite human and utterly divine. Carry the unshakable knowledge that you belong to the King of Kings, that your life is a testament to His faithfulness, that your very existence is a miracle woven into the tapestry of eternity. Go in peace, not the fragile peace of the world, but the deep abiding peace that comes from knowing your place in God's story. Go in power, not the fleeting power of human achievement, but the eternal power of a life surrendered to divine purpose. Go in faith, knowing that the God who called you before time began is walking with you, guiding you, and preparing the way for miracles you cannot yet see. Until we meet again. Chosen One, let your light blaze, let your voice roar, and let your life declare the glory of the One who made you for such a time as this. Amen.